Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to some. My name is Johnny B. Okay, and I do a couple things. One of the things I talk about is philosophy. One of the things I talk about is politics. Another thing I talk about is one of my favorite singers. Well, today we're going to talk about how the media uses cultural Marxism in the way they speak. Cultural Marxism, the biggest thing they use is something called identity politics and virtue signaling. Herbert Marcuse was a famous Marxist that came to the United States, and in the mid-60s, late 60s, is actually when he really became famous, just at the time of the French Revolution, at that time of the Revolution, when they took the period that we used to live in and now became the postmodernist period, okay? So, they used his critical theory. And critical theory was the beginning of something that we now know as political correctness, identity politics, virtue signaling. Okay? And one of the things I'm going to talk about is there was one of these groups, this feminist group, as well as the LGBT group, and in particular the lesbians, but the feminist group was trying to push something called the Me Too movement. And it was used in combination with everything. They wanted to see how powerful their movement was. They could hurt people in Hollywood. They could hurt people in politics. They could hurt men anytime, anywhere. They could accuse you 30 years later, 40 years later, even up to 50 years later. All they had to do was just accuse you. Okay? Accusations. But it wasn't just that. What they did was they used a numbers game. So one woman wasn't enough. Okay, how about two? Is two? No? Or so if we get five, that's good? 5? Okay. That's not enough. How about 10? In other words, and then what they wanted to do is do a twofold thing. If you didn't believe them, they'd be like, what? You're saying they're all liars? Okay? The same thing they did with the whole Kavanaugh scenario. What? How would you like it if your voice, so they turn it back on you, virtue signal. How would you like it if your voice wasn't? Okay? Another thing they wanted to do was they wanted to use Christianity against Christians. Because Christians believe in honesty. They believe in fair play. And this particular Khazar here, Frank Luntz, wants to actually use it again. Everything I'm talking about here, this Frank Luntz does. Okay? Everything. That's how he holds this whole entire interview. Okay? And all he's looking for is a weakness. He's looking for a weakness. And that weakness, it comes if you doubt. Have any doubt. Okay? So if there's doubt. So 100 women could come. You're saying if there's 100 women, how about 20 women? All right? In other words, accusations are more powerful than facts. And that's what they tried to do. This whole Me Too movement was not about Me Too. What it really was about matriarchal power and how far they could go. And then the second step was the abortion thing. I'll talk about that on another one, where they wanted to see how far they can go before they can kill a human being in infanticide and keep pushing it for just power over a human being. It's a sick Luciferian ideology. Okay? Matriarchal power it's disgusting, to be honest with you. Okay? Because it's not about women's rights. It's about women's power over men. Here we go. And you're about to see just how Marxist Frank Luntz is. Enjoy.
Or a good Christian.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely?
Wait.
Yes.
Oh, here we go. So, let me start again. So, listen to Frank Luntz. He holds this focus group. in
We're
Alabama.
all Christians here.
There we go.
Yes.
Is wrong.
Boom. Again, he's going off the Christian guilt thing right off the bat. Listen to this guy.
More a good Christian.
Yes. Absolutely.
Absolutely?
Yes.
Without any doubt whatsoever.
I do not know the name.
Without any doubt, that's the key words. Without any doubt, let's use subjectivity, not objectivity. Without any doubt.
Not necessarily.
Well, let me ask you this.
Nobody's perfect. Please explain nobody's perfect when you look at the things that he has been accused of.
Accused is not.
Bingo. When you look at the things he's been accused of, everything's about accusations. Whether they're true or not doesn't matter. Okay? And it's about feelings. Nothing's about objective facts. This is how the feminists were getting control.
Found guilty.
I want to know.
Just because I don't go to church every time the doors are open doesn't mean I don't believe. And God doesn't expect us to be perfect, but he does expect us to try and repent of our sins.
He's not my choice. I'm not voting for him because I like him. I'm voting for him because I don't want Doug Jones. But Roy Moore is entitled to the presumption of innocence in the law and in the Bible, just like anybody else should be. They're only accusations. There have been no charges filed. All you have is a group of women that have come forward and said...
How many?
7.
There you go. What did Frank Luntz say? How many? How many women? 7. So 7's not enough? Do we need more? Are you going to say they're all guilty? Are you all going to say they're all liars? In other words, he's going to put that back onto them like, how would you like if that was you? Okay? All right.
More.
Now, there's really 3.
Higher. How many women have to come forward before you say, wait a minute, where there's smoke, there's fire?
Doesn't matter, Bob.
You can bring 1,000. It won't matter. Because this is how liberals think. This is how because they're not really liberal anymore. So I don't even want to call them liberal. This is how the new Democratic Party is, because they're all socialists. This is how they think. And the reason is because they're looking for a way to have power. Okay? And the way they have power is through subjective thought and indoctrinating the minds of those that have actually followed them. And their plan is to ruin Christianity and capitalism. And they did not want a far-right conservative as a senator. No way did they want that. Absolutely no way.
The legitimacy, not just how many.
Exactly.
How many are actually not being paid or being coerced to do this?
How many of them do you think are being paid?
All of them.
All of them?
All of them.
By show of hands, how many of you think all the women are being paid? Seriously.
To
Seriously!
me, there are only 2 women that maybe have a smoking gun.
Frank Luntz just picks up guilt or doubt. He shares doubt.
But, you know, the women's reputations
Weakness.
were questionable at the time.
Is this how you want to be treated as a woman if something...
Virtue signaling!
Do you want to be dismissed that way?
Better have proof.
You know, it doesn't sound like it went beyond the still clothes zone. It doesn't sound like it went beyond anything. And as soon as the girl said she wasn't comfortable, he took her home.
I guess my question is, you blame her.
You blame
She's
her.
14.
Oh, virtue signaling again. She's only 14. Okay? You blame her. Back in 1960 something? Or 1970 something? Are you kidding me? And now remember, Judge Moore elected office twice before he ran for Senate. All right? Why did she wait until now? Well, because she was so scared. Bullshit. It's 100% bullshit. It's done as a way to get into the minds of people to have doubt. That's what it is. All right? Oh my God. Oh my God. Yeah. It
Blaming
worked. It
both
worked.
of them. So I didn't say that I thought he was without sin. It's possible he did it, but it's possible that he could be forgiven for... I don't think he raped her.
And let's be real. It was a different world. 40 years ago in Alabama, people could get married at 13 and 14 years old. My grandmother at 13 was married. At 15, had 2 children and a husband and a job. If Roy Moore was guilty, if he was at the mall hitting on this 14-year-old, 40 years ago in Alabama, there's a lot of mamas and daddies that'd be thrilled that their 14-year-old was getting hit on by a district attorney.
I dated an older man at 16. So we don't really...
How old was he?
31. I'm not going to say that the 14-year-old, I don't believe her, to be honest. The one that said she was 14, I don't believe her. But for all of us, as a woman, I think we've pretty much all been in the situation where there's been sexual harassment.
I mean, think about what you're saying. You're calling all 9 of those women liars.
Yes!
9 women.
Yes!
When it happened to you,
Think about
did
what
you
you're
want
saying.
people to
Virtue
trust you?
signaling.
I never told anybody. And
Is that
I
good
didn't, and if I
either?
was going to tell somebody, I would not have waited 38 years to tell it.
Bingo.
That's what's mind-boggling. Why wait till now at an election to come forward and say, oh.
Okay, Frank, what you're wanting to know is we got a bunch of conservatives here, and you want to know why we're going to vote for Roy Moore. My wife went to high school with Roy. She said in high school, Roy was a hard worker, an American success story, if you will. He always aimed for higher things. However, neither she nor I have ever voted for Roy up until now. And we intend to vote for Roy because of the opponent that's running. Right now, as far as I'm concerned, we've probably got 2 miserable candidates.
Doubt.
In my opinion,
Doubt.
we ought to go with a conservative. We ought to go with somebody that we know.
That's all he needed to hear was doubt. We have 2 miserable candidates. He doesn't care that his candidate, Doug Jones, was a miserable candidate. All he wanted to hear was that Roy Moore was a miserable candidate. And that's all they need. They sniff it out. They're sick people. That's what they look for, okay?
Is going to vote conservative, and that's what I'm looking for.
Roy Moore is not a miserable man. This man has more integrity than you can find in the entire Congress right now. Don't fall for the George Soros assassination plan. The truth will come out. These women are all going to be proven, just like the 16 that went against President Trump, just right before the election.
What about the women who went against Bill Clinton?
The accusers of Clinton, everybody knows he's a womanizer.
Well, people think the same thing about Roy Moore.
With Bill Clinton, they went to the courthouse and they filed papers.
They filed
didn't
lawsuits.
wait 40 years to do it.
No.
That's a huge difference than just going to the media only 6 weeks before the...
Oh, a simple little fact that Frank Luntz just forgot to put in there. Well, it was the same thing. No, it wasn't. Those women went straight to the courthouse and filed lawsuits. This is what I need you to understand, and this is why we call these people fake news. Because it's all about indoctrination. It's all about yellow journalism. It's all about indoctrinating you. That's why I can't stand mainstream media, because of that. I always have to pick out the truth and then decipher it myself, because I don't trust any of them. Okay? But I wanted you today just to see how cultural Marxism was displayed to a T. All right? And Frank Luntz showed it. All right? I hope you learned something today. Peace out. This is Johnny B.